mine.
Get off me, you freak! Just your mop, huh? Just your mop. How about that? No! You want your mop? There's your mop.
My mom!
These videos are not for children. If you are a children, then piss off.
A lot of the time, the wrestling videos I make for this channel can be entertaining to wrestling marks and non-fans alike. And this is definitely one of those times. Before I play the video I'm about to play, allow me to provide a little bit of context. Perry Saturn was a wrestler who made his name known throughout the 90s. He was never a household name like The Rock or Austin, far from it. But he was always a recognizable face. He was undoubtedly successful, picking up victories in WCW, ECW, and the then WWF. Becoming one half of the legendary team of the Eliminators in ECW, joining the WCW stable of Raven's Flock, and debuting in the later WWE as a part of the Radicals. And of course, the pre-Radical Radicals. Nobody likes to talk about them, but that was a thing. A former 3-time ECW Tag Champion. A 2-time WCW Tag Champion. A WWF Hardcore and European Champion. It's safe to say that Perry Saturn carved out a legacy in his own right. And if all of what I just said hasn't justified his place in wrestling history, then that hat certainly will. You'll notice him here being accompanied to the ring by Goldust's ex-wife. Here you'll see him take on a virtual nobody, in the form of Mike Bell. No disrespect to Mike, I'm just stating that within the context of this company, Mike Bell was nobody. He wasn't on the roster, he wasn't contracted by the company, he was a one-and-done performance. He was brought in to do a job. Now the politically correct term here for someone like that in wrestling is enhancement talent. But that's bullshit. He was a jobber, and there's nothing wrong with that. If anything, I'd like to think that being a jobber is somewhat of a compliment. It'd mean the company trusted you enough to make someone else look good. And really, isn't that the sign of a good worker? Someone who has the ability to make their opponents look even better? I bring this all up because that's going to come into play in just a little bit.
Angle and Benoit, a medals match and Judgment Day.
This commentary feels a little uncomfortable in hindsight now, doesn't it?
Because Kurt is irate at Chris Benoit for stealing the Olympians' gold medal.
And that would be far from the worst thing that Chris Benoit would do. Outside of that, so far so good. Everything seems to check out here. Maybe a little bit sloppy here and there, but not exactly something that's botchamania worthy, right? Well, I'm going to pause right here to share one of my own personal stories. You see, the first time that I was backstage at a wrestling show, I asked one of the workers, Tommy Guns, what it was like to work with Rez, a guy who was kind of mentoring me and a friend at the time. And he'd said, Rez is a cool dude, but he gets a little frustrated when you have too many oopses in your match. If you have a couple oopsies, he might deliver a couple intentional oopsies. Keep that story in mind for just a second as we continue to watch this video.
Well, Perry Saturn now, a simple shoulder block will have tremendous impact. Drop down for Mike Bell. Nice hip toss. The hip toss up and over
and oops.
Mike Bell. Nice hip toss. The hip toss up and over and
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Saturn rolling on his shoulder. And wait a minute. Boy, you're talking about Saturn opening up on Mike Bell, and here it goes.
Apparently, Rez must have been a student of Perry Saturn because he doesn't like oopsies either. He just won't stand for them. And he'll make sure you don't either. Notice how just a second ago they were chain wrestling and giving hip tosses, and now he's just straight up hitting and kicking the shit out of them. We went from technical wrestling to a straight up brawl. The match went from Chris Benoit in the ring to Chris Benoit in real life. How did that happen?
Wow! You don't want to make Perry Saturn. Oh man! Oh, right on his noggin.
And holy shit, can we just rewind that for a second? Jesus Christ, Perry looked like he almost landed on his head from that hip toss. Mike Bell looks like he just had his bell rung. He looks like he just had his neck snapped in half. As a matter of fact, let's compare and contrast from the time the culturally inappropriate Pedro did almost the same thing.
He's calling out Corey.
Oh my God, Pedro is back!
Oh no!
Oh! You guys slammed his neck.
But I'm sure Perry just needed some time to cool off, you know, think things over, and now that he's sound of mind, I'm sure he's gonna check if he's... Oh, shit, Perry! What the fuck are you doing?
Oh my goodness! In a wild...
Did no one tell Saturn that this is staged? He's looking to legitimately kill this man.
Bell got thrown right out on the side of his, on top of his head, then in the back of his head, Perry Saturn just ran the stairs.
You can tell due to the slow-paced nature of Bell that he's clearly hurting right now. And you can also tell by the silverback gorilla stature of Perry that he don't give a fuck. Perry, seriously, I say this as a friend and a fan here. You gotta stop.
Stop! He's already dead.
You're gonna have charges pressed against you.
Question that I know Matt, Jeff, and Lita are asking themselves right now, but Latino Heat on the...
You can't just drop this dude on his head, his full body weight, mind you, on his fucking head, and then look to rip it from his neck in the corner. He's not even contracted by the company, Perry. He's not supposed to be here past this appearance. What are you thinking? And I think that may be exactly what Marlena here is telling him. She's all up in his ear like, Perry, you know you got warrants. Seriously, can someone find and applaud Terry Runnels here? Someone take to Twitter, find her. Tell her thank you. I mean, she should be commended for this. I mean, in the history books, she should be attributed in having tried to save a man's life. I just imagine there's people in the audience, popcorn in hand, slowly munching away, saying to their friend in the corner, wow, it looks so real.
That chivalry may not be dead.
That's right, chivalry may not be dead. But Mike Bell sure as hell won't be.
Saturn definitely showing him, showing Mike Bell that chivalry may not be dead in his...
Perry Saturn hooking the leg too, and Mike Bell.
Mike, no! Mike, no! Stay down! Stay down! And stay down not because it looked like he hit a finish, but stay down because if you get up again, he might just kill you.
Before the count of three, we will see the lethal weapon Steve Blackman in action a little bit later on. Perry Saturn now has Mike Bell. Mike Bell, no small man, hoisting him up and being tripped.
Oh, Mike, I tried to warn you. I damn near begged you to listen to me. Now look at yourself. And if Perry Saturn gets his way, you just might be physically able to. Because he's going to tear you apart. I mean, where's Jim Ross to talk reason to this man from the commentating booth? With shouts of, you can't do that to a man's body.
Don't do this. Please, don't do this. Get up. Let's get up. Don't do it. Man, don't do it.
To the turnbuckle.
Saturn really giving Mike.
I mean, this is just like watching murder in a wrestling ring. There's no punchline. That's what's going on here. It's murder in a wrestling ring.
Here it comes.
Was that necessary, Perry? Was that last bit? Was that last bit necessary? Was any of what preceded it necessary? And look at him. Look, he looks like that did nothing for him. He just went through all of that, and his aggression hasn't even fizzled. He's too pissed off to even celebrate. Can you imagine being the officials behind the scenes watching their own worker beat the holy hell out of this guy who's supposed to only be there for this one show? I bet you could guess they were none too pleased. Which is allegedly why not too long after, Saturn was saddled with a gimmick in which he'd only respond to questions with, "You're welcome," or "Thank you."
You smell like a Viking. You're welcome.
And that same angle would see him leave Terry Runnels and fall in love with a mop. That's not some shitty joke I made either. Saturn literally left the artist formerly known as Marlena to pursue a relationship with whom he dubbed Moppy.
You know what? You have given this stupid mop more attention than you've given to me. Make a decision. The mop or me, Perry? Which one?
You're welcome. The beating Perry Saturn is giving Greg Gamble.
It's Brian Gamble.
It's all the same. It don't matter.
You guys remember way back when I first spoke about the in-ring incident with Perry Saturn? The incident in which he dropped a man on his head and neck and continued to pummel him after? I bet for those of you who've seen it, you'd think to yourselves, man, there's no way that he'd ever be trusted with guys not under company contract ever again. But you'd be wrong. You may also alternatively be thinking, there's no way any talent would be stupid enough, would be dim enough to duplicate that mistake in ring against Perry. And again, you'd be wrong. Because here we are just a few months after that incident with another.
Well, Perry Saturn set to go one-on-one with one Brian Gamble. But when you talk about Ric Flair and the mess...
Here is young Brian Gamble. He's also a nobody in the context of this company. He's a job guy, brought in to make Perry look good. You know, just in case the Mike Bell performance didn't exactly do the job.
Van Dam and Chris Jericho had a heck of a week as well, because Chris Jericho right now to me is very vulnerable.
2 seconds in and Perry's already pissed. And for good reason too. He just got one-upped by a guy who bought his gear off eLucha.
WWF champion. And oh my goodness.
That slap is pretty telling. That's not part of the match. That is a veteran putting a rookie in his place.
Saturn just sluggo right now, in my opinion. Certainly he...
Now, you're gonna notice something here pretty quickly, whether you're a wrestling fan or not. You can probably notice that Gamble, the young up-and-comer who isn't actually part of the company, continually, or at least constantly attempts to take the lead in this match. That's because Brian Gamble is a complete mark. It would appear that hiring a local guy wasn't the best call on WWE's part this time around, because Brian Gamble being in his hometown, and because he had family watching in the arena, didn't want to look bad in front of them. Yeah, that's right, this no-name, this absolute nobody, was delusional enough to believe losing to Perry Saturn, a WWE worker, would somehow discredit him. Despite the fact that that's exactly what he was hired to do. Brian Gamble was already believing his non-existent hype and buying into his bankrupt brand. There are some rumors that state that he actually went out of his way to alert his family in attendance that he was booked to win this match. Yes, the company hired some local indie nothing to come in and beat one of their own guys. Flawless logic.
Without losing the title, he escaped against the Big Show on SmackDown without losing that Undisputed Championship.
Look at him not even selling Saturn's punches with a full impact. He's not bumping. He's not even leaving his feet. And he's recovering within milliseconds.
Jericho can lose that title at any time.
Well, I mean, I think that's part of Chris Jericho's game plan, in my opinion. First man ever to... Whoa!
And again, this isn't part of the match. This is a legitimate tackle. He looked like he just Goldberg speared him.
Beautiful duck. Oh, boy. Anything he can, just champion.
Well, if he doesn't lose the Undisputed Championship, certainly he'll never lose that.
There you go. Good on you. If he doesn't go down, you take him down yourself. Look at him. He's not even leaving his feet. Not even attempting to leave his feet. He's just dancing around like he's in Mortal Kombat and he's waiting for Perry to finish him. See now, where I felt bad for Mike Bell, this guy has earned every bit of this ass beating. He's deliberately fucking up the match to put himself over and make himself look good, when he's not the one who's supposed to. Saturn's the one who's going to be there next week on TV. Not you. Your name will not be remembered past me making this video. What are you doing? I mean, only in wrestling could you find this kind of stupidity. You were hired to do a job. Do the damn job. You couldn't get hired as a plumber to change pipes and then show up and decide, you know what, I think this whole basement, I'm going to remodel it. That's not how it works. Do what you get paid for, you stupid fuck. I'm just watching this match, and the only thing I can think is that this guy clearly never wanted to work again. I mean, you get invited to the biggest company there is, and you make a fucking fool out of yourself.
Off the chart. And so's Perry Saturn. Oh, that was a pretty good form tackle.
Oh, he looked like Zach Lambert.
Right.
Only
I remember Saturn to the kid. You know, you're very excited. Speaking of good form.
Hurricanes, the alma mater.
I certainly would not want to be Mr.
He looks like a mini version of a Tommy Dreamer. Pay his dues, and he's doing it the hard way with Perry Saturn.
Well, Perry Saturn, thinking
for some stupid reason.
Taking a beating.
Yeah, he's
Here's
about to. He's going to
there
get
it is.
Tap out, son.
There it is, and certainly it's only a matter of time before you succumb, and there it is.
And Perry forces this nothing to tap out, and again, he's too pissed to celebrate. And this time, I don't really blame him. And maybe it's just me, but I kind of feel like Brian Gamble got off really easy here. Like, by comparison, I feel like Mike Bell got the beating that Gamble deserved. You know? Let me know in the comments if you think Brian over here lucked out.
It's a very vicious here on metal.
Well, let me tell you something, brother. You're watching the Social Injustice Warrior, V Infuso's channel, dude. So if you like the words that came out of his mouth hole, and you too want to become a V-tard, don't forget to like and subscribe, and click that little bell icon to get updates and notifications. Ooh, tell him what up, Mach. Ooh, yeah. Follow the man on Twitter, yeah, because we all know it's not stalking if it's on the internet, yeah. Join the madness by joining the Discord, and if you have a moment of time and a free $1 to spare, head over to the SIJW's Patreon, dig it, where you can request videos, get exclusive videos, and early access to content, yeah. Or go down to PayPal, where you can buy the shirts, brother. But most importantly, just remember, if you're not tuning in, then you're missing out.